The next presenter that we have is Ulf Sonntag, Managing Director at NIT, the Institute for Tourism Research in Northern Europe in Germany. He will be discussing tackling climate change adaptation in tourism destinations, the case of Lower Saxony, Germany. His expertise is in sustainable destination development and will shed some light on the practical implementation of the scientific impact assessments for climate change adaptation. Ulf, please take the stage.
Thank you, Patrice. And yeah, great to be here and great to present this. It's a slightly different scope, I think, than we heard with Ireland. So it's about a whole German Bundesland, so a whole state, quite a big region. And it's not, let's say, it's not as precise as and as let's say clear where it should end. It's more the start, I think, of a process that we are tackling with this project. It has gained quite some publicity because it was awarded a national award last year of tourism projects. Because I think it's really the first of our Bundesländer, and at least in the national case, where this is really tried in this systematic way. And what they are trying is, or we are trying together with a regional tourism organization there, is that we look at the whole state, which is in the north of Germany, but it's really one of the big Länder. It's very diverse. So we also have this peat lands, and I think maybe there is also some connection where we should catch up to. But we have the coast, we have even mountainous regions, we have cities, we have these lowlands with different shapes. So it's very diverse, very heterogeneous. It's definitely not the most affected region by climate change, not even in Germany. But I think here you see what happens when somebody takes over the responsibility and really goes for a topic. And here it was really the case that the destination management organization said, this is a big topic we want to tackle. And they got the funding from the state. And they got the project running with, we are not the only ones, but we were one of the consultants basically helping them. But it's really, I think, crucial is this ownership. So they felt responsible for this topic, and there were even, it's not only the organization, it was people in the organization who took the responsibility and who wanted to go for this. And then we started, I mean, this is a bit like, you have to know, we had, as a conclusion in the previous panel here with the data, is you have to measure what's going to happen, you have to have an idea, so you cannot really think out of the blue. So basically, the first thing was risk assessment on a, let's say, regional and local level, because on this whole state level, that's too big, so we started to do this in, let's say, in smaller regions. And I think some prerequisites came out of this. So it's, of course, important that you accept that climate change is out there, it's going to happen, and there is no way out of it at the moment. And that you have to look at risks, but maybe besides the risk, there are also opportunities. So look at both. So keep your eyes open. Expect that also there will be a changing tourism demand. I think this is also something we had in the previous presentations, so that the demand will react on climate change, but also on the changed product offer that might be the result of one of these processes. And one of the basic prerequisites, what we heard here in Estonia, is nature is our nature. So nature, I think, for almost all kinds of tourism is a prerequisite. And then we found there is many cross-cutting things. So it's important to talk, get all the stakeholders on board, which is sometimes really hard, because sometimes you have the residents complaining, but then trying to engage the residents is always not so easy. And also, do you talk to single ones? Are they organized? So it's always easy to tell, but then when you come down to the problem solving and to really creating something, it's maybe not that hard. And especially with the topic of climate change, you're not alone in your region, so it's really between the different geographical levels, and it's definitely cross-sectoral. So there is a lot of, let's say, it's quite a wide scope, but that also means there is a lot of leeway for creativity. And this is where we try to dig into with this project. And what then was the case was basically to start looking for key factors that you need to tackle this issue of climate adaptation. And I noticed this morning, when this was already sent to the organizers, it's maybe not the best analogy to show a machine. I still like Charlie Chaplin, but maybe the next time I show a garden with some gardening tools, because what this should represent is that you get the right tools to turn the right wheels. But maybe the analogy could also be you get the right tools to groom a nice garden. Still, I like Charlie Chaplin. And then the tools here was a lot of paperwork and let's say a website where all this is accessible. But they all have sense because they start at the different levels where the destination wants to work. So there is some information in there just to tell destinations to understand and inform what is happening concerning climate change. So basically, this risk assessment thing. And then tell or elaborate together, it was a very participative project, how this is relevant for tourism at the destination. And then to get a common understanding on what are the aims and how to get there. So basically it's guidelines how to get to these aims and examples, good practices on how to reach them. And then from this stage, from the aims, develop ideas. So do co-creation and workshops and get along again with as many stakeholders as possible from these regions. And then check, it can go like a little bit in a line, but also you can do these things separately depending on what the destinations prioritize and also on how they are organized. So it's also about resilient adaptation need of infrastructure and company. So it's about, and there you see it's cross-sectoral. So building, I don't know, new roads, protection, maybe something against, at the coast, against the sea level rise. This is not something the DMO will decide, but it's something that you will have to do together. And then also be prepared for the worst. So we also have like one guideline about emergency planning for destinations. So what happens if you have some extreme weather happening? And of course, we heard money is always an issue to find out where is the funding. And this is now let's say, the next step that we found. We found, yeah, we can develop all this, spend a lot of money to do this, also to co-create, but then if the project stops, it's also likely that something stops in the regions. So the next step of this project, which is now being implemented, is really to take the destinations again at their hands, to take it even one level lower, and really try to work on the issues they have defined in the workshops in the first project phase. So it's really to getting together, but it's also, they need help because often they don't have the capacities there. And then also a few learnings that we found out when we went through the project. It's nice in Germany because it starts with 3 V's. It's Vorbereitung, Verantwortung und Vernetzung. PRN is maybe also quite nice. But you see, you have to be prepared. Does it stand for something? No. Something bad? No. So it's really, it's about being prepared. So this is about infrastructure, is about changing your offers. It's really to consider something is going to happen, and you cannot just, by not looking at it, it will not go away. And you have to plan also with your money. And then I think responsibility is towards your community, it's towards your guest, but it's also finding the resources to go for it and to tackle it. And then it's a lot of networking because it is not only in your sector, but it's also beyond your sector and beyond your level of expertise. And then I think it's also, I hope it's motivational, it's really, it's there. So you have to think about climate change in tourism, but you also have to think about tourism adaptation. So it's all this integrated integration that is really important. And it's definitely a process, and it's not a project. So you cannot put it in a project, but you have to keep on going for it. You need resources, you need stamina, and you need flexibility because things will change during the way. You will learn new things. And I think it's really important to start and then get going. And I think also coming from the economical point of view, the most expensive option is waiting. So I think there is no excuse. It's really to starting. And I think this is, I hope this was a bit motivational because I think they tackled it and they have come a long way, but they also see it's not going to stop and they have to keep going. And I was happy to present this, but actually the credit goes to my colleague Wolfgang, who is basically the mastermind behind this. And if you want to reach out, I'm happy to answer, but most likely I will put you forward to Wolfgang. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ulf.